Are you ready to live your dream? Motivation, inspiration, and passion. That's what it takes to make dreams come true. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. Our guests will share important tips, insights, and knowledge to help you fulfill your dreams of success. Here's your host, actress, author, entrepreneur, Nadia Sahari.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. I'm your host, Nadia Sahari. Sit right down, relax, have fun. You're going to enjoy the show. My show is so interesting. I have wonderful guests. And you know that this show is about dreamers, and we are all dreamers. Every single one of us on this earth. We are all dreamers. We dream of writing a book, acting in a movie, getting a record label, or we dream of having our own business. So this is why I invite guests to my show to share their secrets, their journey, and their challenges. How did they do it? What are they doing to maintain that success? What were the failures? How did they change their failures to success? And my guest today is my very first professor, and I'm so excited to have her today. And she is a professor, she is an author, she is a life coach. She helps women with their empowerment and transformation, particularly through their 40s as they finally begin to define themselves for themselves. Oh, where were you when I turned 40? And here we go. Now I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Darnise Martin. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. I am so happy to have you. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be with you.
Me too. It's great. I've never had a professor. You're my first one. I've had a lot of first ones. What's that?
That's my day job.
Day job. Yes, that's your day job. Exactly. But you love it.
I do.
Yes, you do. I can tell. Well, let's talk about you. What inspired you to become a professor, and at what age was your first inspiration?
Oh, wow. Well, my whole life I was really interested. I was always the geeky kid reading things about religion and mythology and history and ancient cultures. And my mother used to say, I don't know how you got to be my child. You're so strange. Like, I didn't go outside and play with others. I was the only child. And, you know, I spent a lot of time in libraries and with books. But still, I didn't think that I was going to become a teacher. In fact, it was not my first career at all. But eventually, you know, Mom was right, after all, of course. And around about my early 20s, I decided, you know, I should probably quit this job and go to grad school. And so I did. So by my early 30s, I decided to go to grad school, and I did a master's and then a PhD in religion and history. And at my heart, I feel like I'm an educator. And my content, you know, my expertise is in religion and mythologies and, you know, mysticism, that kind of thing. So I decided, of course, to teach those things. But overall, I'm a teacher, and, you know, that kind of led into me deciding to write the book that I wrote and to do the kind of workshops and speaking gigs that I do, because I feel like I'm still educating. I'm still helping women in particular, sometimes men, but usually mostly women, to, you know, find their happy place, to find their core values and help them align with it. So overall, you know, I'm an educator.
Well, you know, that is incredible. And why did you select the age of 40 to specialize in?
Well, you know, it had a lot to do with the fact that I was in my 40s.
Oh, okay.
But like when I first started, this project actually took me 10 years to write.
Wow.
Not that I knew that that it was going to take that long, but in my late 40s, I began to recognize a pattern, you know, with myself, my own experiences, my coaching clients. I began to notice that women in this decade were having certain kinds of crises, like an emotional, spiritual kind of who am I kind of crisis.
Yes.
And it would lead women to, you know, terrible self-doubt, depression, just anxiety. And, you know, when people work with me in coaching, I always say, well, we're going to go deep. We're going to go underneath the symptoms, because you might show up and say, oh, my relationships aren't working out, or, you know, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just so tired, or whatever it is. There's a certain symptom that they present with, and I go deeper with them. And what I was finding is women are in this time frame of where everything they've known prior has kind of crashed.
Yes.
Everything that we've been told is supposed to work for us in our 40s, we're exhausted. It hasn't worked out. You know, maybe something major has happened, like a health crisis, a divorce, or maybe it's just children going off to college. There's a certain something that has happened that has really radically changed her life.
And menopause. Don't forget menopause.
And yes,
menopause, it changes everything.
Exactly. Or as we say, perimenopause, right?
Yes.
Perimenopause comes upon us.
Yes.
And again, we're like, what is happening to my body, to my emotions, to my sex life, to, you know, like I'm cranky, I'm irritable, I can't sleep, all of these things, yes. And so what I found was, wow, this is a transformational decade, because we're not old.
No.
We're just going through a major transformation, if we will allow the transformation to happen. Sometimes women get stuck in trying to, I want to stay youthful like I was in my 30s, or get really down on themselves because they haven't achieved the things that they thought that they should have achieved. Like maybe they didn't get married, they didn't have the children, and so they're mad at themselves or kicking themselves about that, or something that they feel they've failed. Normally is the feeling. Yes. I've somehow failed, and I don't know what to do. And so I tell them, you know what, I think you do know what to do. We're going to spend some time in the uncertainty, but I think you actually do know what to do, but you're afraid. And there's so many things that are coming to head at that point, like, if not now, when? Yes. Have I given up on myself? Am I willing to do the thing that I know I can do, although I don't know if other people are going to understand? Who's going to criticize me? Do I even know what I'm doing? No, I don't know what I'm doing. Right? So it becomes this internal conversation she has with herself of yearning for something, kind of feeling like she can do it, but then self-doubt and uncertainty attack, and then she's like, no, I can't. So she says, I'm confused. And I go, you're not confused. You're afraid.
Yes.
So in working with women and myself, I realize it's fear. And I help women navigate through that fear, help them, you know, put some action steps behind, you know, what's going to be the next step. What's the next stage that you need to step into? I call it the next stage of your evolution. What's the next stage of your evolution going to be? What are you setting yourself up for in your 50s? You're not old. So what's it going to be? Here's how we can work together. And by the time I got to be 50, which is when I finished the book, Nadia.
Well, you know what? You did finish it.
I finished it.
Yes, you did.
And I said,
yes, but you did it. That's the great thing. You did do it, and it's going to help so many women, especially because we women kind of lose our identity when it comes to men. Mm-hmm. And it all depends on what we went through as children. And unfortunately, most of us have gone through bad things as children, and we've been abused in some way. So we end up marrying men similar to our fathers, and we keep repeating the same mistake, and we lose ourselves in that relationship, in the love, in the living, and we lose who we are. I've done it over and over. How do you prevent something like that? How do you not lose yourself and become, you don't even know who you are anymore, but you kind of become like someone's servant.
Right. That's why, you know, that's the subtitle of the book, 40-something, 10 Radical Lessons for Women on How to Live and Love Without Losing Themselves.
Yes.
Because as I said, I went through, you know, my own self-realization when I was in a relationship like that. And I used to say to myself and to him sometimes, we weren't even married, we're just in a long-term relationship. And I used to say, I can't breathe. And he'd say, I don't know what's wrong with you. You know, what are you talking about? You know, you have all these things. He's a well-known Hollywood director, so there's all that aspect of it. And people from the outside would think, oh, your life must be so great and perfect because, you've got that Hollywood life going. I'm like, oh, my God, it's such a machine. It's eating me alive. I'm losing myself over here. And he didn't really understand. But for me, it became a critical moment. I'm either going to go with losing myself and just be his accessory in his life, or I'm going to step out of it and regain and reclaim myself. So, when I said earlier, women are often afraid. They do know what they want, or at least they have an idea, but they're afraid because she may think if she's in a marriage or long-term relationship, well, I'm going to lose money, financial support, or who will I be? Everybody knows me as his wife or girlfriend. What will happen to me? And so one of the things that I have to help her get to is her own worth again.
Yes.
And taking her back to the time when she can remember what her dream was. and saying, who were you then? Who did you think you were going to be then? Is that who you want to be now? How do we get you back in alignment? And so it takes time, and especially if she's been in a relationship for a long time and has really lost herself in the life of her partner, in her role as a mother, whatever her multiple roles might be. If she's highly invested in those, it's going to take some time for her to really be able to fend for herself, to dream for herself, and to allow herself to move in the direction for herself. But if there's been a crisis, that will push her, as in healthcare, divorce, a child who's sick. If there's something that's a crisis moment, then she's ready.
Well, you're right. You are so right about, and it's not even just turning 40. It happens at a very young age. I mean, it can happen in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. And you can lose your identity and you can lose your dream. But you know what I found out? That God gave you that dream and God gave you that destiny, and he never closed the door. It's still open, and you can go right through it when you're ready.
Absolutely. And, it'll never leave you. I mean, it can be very frustrating when you don't answer that call or, take the steps that God is showing you. But as long as you're asking, and sometimes all you can do is say help, because you might not know what. You might not, well, I don't even know what I need. I'm just in a very low place. And so there's the perfect prayer that's just the word help. Yes. And be willing to open your eyes and your heart and see signs. Ask for a sign. Ask for somebody. God, send me a person with a positive word today. Send me something that I know you've heard me. And, I remember having that experience one time, and we're in LA, so I was driving to Santa Monica, and it was one of those rare days when it had rained, and I said a prayer like that, just show me something. And there's a rainbow. And the fact that I noticed it, like, I took that as my sign. I know it's a rainbow, right? It could be for everybody. But I took that as my sign because I had said that prayer, God, I need you to show me something today because today is especially hard.
That's right.
And I saw it, and it lifted my mood. It really did, because I allowed it to. I didn't just say, whatever, just keep on going kind of in my downward spiral. And that's what I mean when I say you have to be willing to open your eyes and your heart and say, oh, I asked for this, and here's my little bit of help today. It might just be a little thing, but it gives you the strength to get through that day or the week or whatever. And, I really believe in that. I really believe in those signs.
I do too. I've had prayers answered. I'm telling you, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. And, I listen to Joel Osteen, and when I get in the car on Sirius Radio, and I'll tell you, I'll be going through something in my head, and God speaks to me through him. He talks about the very thing that I'm dealing with.
Exactly.
It's true.
It is. And so that's why, I hope to be encouraging to women who are maybe really in a bad situation, but to say, you can, you definitely can.
Yes.
I know I've met women who are, so-called Hollywood women, meaning that they're married or attached to a famous man, and they're already drinking wine and taking pills at 11 o'clock in the morning because they're so unhappy, but they're definitely afraid of rocking the boat because they don't know how they'll have their same lifestyle if they leave that man, or do the thing that they want to do, even if it's not leaving him. But if it's like, hey, I always wanted to go back to school, or I wanted to travel more. The kids are older. I'm going to do this other thing. But their man is afraid about it, and he's insecure, and he doesn't want her to do. And she knows if she does it, that's going to create some friction.
Yes.
Or, whatever it is. We all have a particular situation where we think I can't because. But when the pain gets great enough, you have to at that point.
Yes. Oh, so good. So good. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back. So don't go away, Darnise. Dr. Darnise.
Absolutely.
Get locked into the Nadia Sahari Show and achieve your dreams today. Listen in at the NadiaSahariShow.com. Listen to some amazing people just like you find their way in life with great uplifting stories, problems they dealt with, and get to understand what makes them tick. It's the Nadia Sahari Show. Great interviews, touching feelings. Whatever talk you need, you're sure to find it right here at the Nadia Sahari Show. Grab it, do it, love it, and get excited today.
And we're back with Dr. Darnise Martin. Wow, let's talk about your book. You've written a book that took you 10 years to write. And you published it, and it's out there. It's on Amazon.com. Tell us, I know it's about what is the title again?
It's 40-something, 10 Radical Lessons for Women on How to Live and Love Without Losing Themselves.
Whoa. Perfect. That is a great book. It's going to be a #1 seller. When did you get it published?
Well, I did. I published it in, I think it was early June, late May, early June of 2019.
Wow. Good for you. And that just fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh off the press.
And really, I didn't know it was going to take that long, but it seems like God was saying to me, oh, the 40s? Okay, well, you're not going to be finished before 40, I'm like, I'm 49. I really wanted to be. And it was like there was a certain segment of my life that I hadn't quite finished living.
Yes.
And then when I turned 50, which is 2 years ago now, I said, oh, I see now. I really see why I couldn't finish it yet. There was another level of my own personal growth that I experienced between 49 and I'll say 50 that I needed to also bring to bear in the book. And so then I spent the next year, looking for the right sort of everything for the book. I did it all myself, the cover, when I say I did it all myself, I mean I found the book designer and the editor, and so I did all of that myself and found the right way to publish it. I had to learn about all of that. So it took a while, but I'm proud of the end product, and I've gotten really good reviews and positive feedback, so I'm very happy with it.
Well, I can't wait to read it, and I'll write a review for you.
I would certainly appreciate that.
And I was looking on your website, and you have a course, an online course called 7 Days to Success. Tell us about that. That is cool. I love that.
Yeah, that's the freebie. If you go to my website, drdarnise.com, you get access to that. And it's 7 steps, so over 7 days, you get a message asking you to do one thing to help you in your own path. What is it that you want? And what are some things that you can do to overcome the obstacles that normally keep us stuck? So it's like, okay, the path to success, what does it look like? Well, we got to clear out a lot of negative self-talk. Yes. And then it just gives little nuggets,
yes,
of how to move forward, really.
Yes. And to move forward and to live your own dream. And I love this website because you have that, and you have where they can find out how they can find the right mate and how they can achieve their goals. And really, we need to set goals, and we can work towards those goals to achieve them. You can't just write them down and not do anything. And if you have the passion, you will achieve and have success. Look at you. You're a beautiful woman. You're beautiful. You're intelligent. And I mean, amazing. Your website is amazing. I love learning from people like you who have the intellect and have the education. And we learn something from everybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. We learn something from everyone because we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I appreciate you saying all that. And I'm actually going to spruce up the website a little bit with my media appearances, such as this one. Happy to be on your show, Nadia.
Yes.
But I'd like to, make it easy for people to also find different media things that I've done. And the particular path I ask for people, as a coach, what would you want to focus on? So for some people, it really is a mate. For some people, it really is purpose, meaning more of a sort of spiritual, sort of big vision, vocational path. And for other people, it's more like a particular goal that they have in mind, something very specific. And so it allows people to pick their path with me, and that's the thing that we focus on in coaching together. Because sometimes people want, more of the spiritual, metaphysical stuff that I do. So, I help them with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, you want to tell us a little bit about that? What do you do in this metaphysical teaching?
One of my students, she came to see me in my office hours, and she said, I'm really enjoying your class, right? It's a religion class. She goes, well, here's my question for you. Where is God? And I said, oh, okay, well, what if I said to you, God is the ground of all being? And she's, 19, 20 years old, so I don't know what that means. So we had this whole conversation about, trying to imagine what God might be. So in working with a person who has this particular set of interests, it's their spiritual questions that they want answered. They want somebody to maybe be a spiritual director and work with them so that they're more deeply grounded in a spiritual tradition. Maybe they come from one that no longer serves them, or they never really had roots in any particular tradition. And then I help them find some kind of spiritual, tradition or set of rituals, something that helps them deepen their own path, because that's what spirituality really is.
Yes.
It's, do you have a particular thing that helps you move through this life? And it might not look like any of the institutional religions, but it doesn't mean that it has to be so just loose, like my students say, well, I'm spiritual but not religious. And I go, well, what does that mean to you? And then they don't have anything. They have nothing. Unfortunately, this generation, I said I'm very happy with them in general, but the 19, 20-year-olds, they don't have anything.
I agree.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you the problem today with the youth is they don't know who God is. They don't know anything about God. And it's like telling them, it's like asking them, do you know who Elvis Presley is? They won't know.
Exactly.
They wouldn't know. And they don't know who God is. I know. It's true.
And so I see the fallout from that, which is, we don't all have the same idea of who God is. Okay. But if you don't have anything, it really, I think, has increased our numbers of young people who suffer from anxiety and a lot of different mental health kind of issues. There's no spiritual center.
That's right.
And they don't know how to really interact with other human beings directly. They tell me this all the time. We don't just walk up to people and have conversation. We don't have conversation like that. We have to be in a group, or we have to be on our phones. We don't really just talk to people. So there's a certain skill set that they don't have, and they also don't have the tools to look within and to trust their own, I call it God voice or intuition,
Yes.
or inner spiritual, anything. They haven't been taught that they can do that,
Yes.
that they can look within and find it. So sometimes women who I work with, who may be 40, 50 years old, they've walked away from the religion that they were raised in, but they still want something. And so I help them, figure out what that's going to be for them. And I give them the homework of ritual, because ritual really does have an important place in our spirituality. That's why, people from the beginning of time have had ritual.
Yes.
Because it helps ground us, and it helps us, as we say, in some traditions, stay prayed up. Because when times get really challenging, you need your spiritual toolbox to help you. Yes. But if you don't have anything in your spiritual toolbox, then you're just left kind of without a compass. But when you're prayed up, you're like, oh, I know where to look. I know what scriptures have been helpful to me in the past, or I like this church over here, or I know to turn on Joel Osteen or Joyce Meyer or whoever it may be. I know to go here. I know to read a Deepak Chopra book. Yes. I know to go over here and pick up whatever it is, but they know. If you have no idea at all, you're opening an empty suitcase called your toolbox, and it's not helpful.
Exactly.
So I like to provide some small rituals just to help people get grounded. And then, in my coaching, I'm going to always push. I'm going to say, okay, well, what's the next thing you can do? The thing that's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's going to help you grow. Consider this idea about God, or consider this idea about the universe or your ancestors. Consider this idea. I'm waiting for that moment when I can make the top of your head blow off with some idea that I presented to you and you haven't ever thought of it before. And it's like, okay, go work with it. Work with that idea.
You are so correct with everything you're saying. And I feel so sad for the youth today because they don't know who God is and they don't have anyone to really turn to. Their validation and their credibility comes from social media, which is not the reason, not good. It's not good to do that. It's not good because people lie on social media. They say things they don't mean, and they tell you things that sound good, or they might say things that hurt you. So there's all kinds of stuff that's being said that could be true, it could not be true.
Right. Yeah, they are overly reliant on the internet and social media.
Yes.
But you know what? They're even coming to know it for themselves. They're having these realizations as part of their, I call it coming into the 20-somethings, when you start to you just barely start to try to make sense of your own self as an adult. And what I see by the time they're graduating, let's say maybe 22, 23, they really are starting to get it, like, oh, yeah, I've got to figure out me. And I was joking, say, I wouldn't be 20-something again.
Oh, no. No way. Never. Never. I would never.
I mean, it's fun. Like, hopefully, you have a lot of fun in your 20s, but also you've got to figure out so much, right?
Yes.
And it's so hard.
Yes.
And by the time you're 30, you're like, oh my gosh, no wonder I survived it. And then,
it's so true.
Right? The young people who want to get married at 25, I'm like, please wait. Just please wait a moment.
Remember when we couldn't wait to be 18, and then we turned 18, we couldn't wait to be 21. We turned 21, right, and we couldn't wait to be 30. But then after 30... 35, we said, okay, we don't want to get any older.
Right. You're like, I'm stopping here, right? I know, I say, I'm 49 forever. That's it, I'm 49.
Oh, it's funny. We are crazy. But we don't know. We don't know. It's, unless we're on the right path.
And we've got to find that path for ourselves, which is, hard work of the 20s and any decade, really. But as we get older, I always tell them, younger people, I said, as you get older, the thing that helps is that you recognize that you've been there before, you've seen that pattern before, you've seen that whatever before, and you have a little bit more confidence that you can manage it and that you can survive it. Yes. Even if it was a very bad heartbreak, a very bad disappointment, a betrayal, by the time you're 50-something, you've seen that before, and you're like, well, it was horrible, but you know what? The show must go on. I got to live.
And they've got to know that when something major happens, it's going to go away. It doesn't stay forever. Yeah. The next day, it's over, and you have a new problem.
Exactly. Like, don't even worry about that one.
Yeah, exactly. You'll forget. I love it. This is great. You're amazing and wonderful. How can the listeners contact you and connect with you on social media? Well,
I'm, my website, drdarnise.com. My email address is drdarnise@drdarnisemartin.com. I'm on Facebook as Darnise Martin. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Darnise. So, and if you can just put me in the Google machine, Darnise Martin, you'll find me.
Yes, you're everywhere. I am too. And, and in business, you have to be. But It's not for anything else except to let people know who we are and what we offer, and that we have tools for you to learn from and to listen to and to, change your life and be a successful dreamer. We all have dreams. How we do it, when we do it, and if we keep doing it, we will achieve it. And the passion is the key. And what advice, before I let you go, what advice would you give anyone who wants to be a PhD in spirituality and religion? And what advice would you give someone who's out there and they may already be in college and they may already be using that as a major? What would you say?
Well, that's very specific. I would say if you're thinking about grad school and going that route, it really does require a lot of discipline and passion. And so I would say make sure you're doing the thing that really you're passionate about, because it's a long, challenging haul. Get in alignment with yourself. Know why you want it, and you're not doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it because you want the letters after your name. It's not an external thing. It's because you're passionate about it, and you'll be able to weather the challenges that come your way with a long process through a master's and a doctoral program. So people ask me about a PhD program today. I said, you got to really want it. You've got to really want it for yourself.
So It's wonderful. You've been amazing, and I've thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed your show and what you had to say, and I'm learning so much from you.
Well, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed talking to you.
Well, I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks for tuning in with Nadia and her guests. For more info, episodes, and connection, please visit our website, thenadiasaharishow.com. Share episodes with your friends. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Instagram, and most importantly, never give up. Live your dream.
Latin Connection magazine is a family magazine featuring people of influence, cultural events, and traditions, recipes and photos of Latin food, Hispanics in business. Plus, get news on Latin festivals, Latin entertainment, and Latinos in the fashion industry, and see photos of Latinos in action all over the U.S. Conoce tu vecino y mucho más. We invite you to share your special event with us at LatinConnectionMag.com. Latin Connection Magazine. Conexión Latina y mucho más. Latin Connection Magazine. It's for anyone and everyone to enjoy, no matter who you are.